Okay, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's time once again for our economic lesson. Okay. Getting there. We promised to cut taxes for every Canadian. 22 million Canadians have their taxes cut. We promised to cut taxes on first-time home builders. They've been cut. We promised to cut the carbon tax. It's been cut. You weren't here. It's been cut. I'm going to quote independent research, Mr. Speaker, of the Canadian Climate Institute, which finds that the impact of the industrial carbon tax, now wait for the net impact of the industrial carbon tax on food prices, it is on average around 0%.
It was fire, sarcasm, and political theater at its peak, all sparked by Pierre Poilievre's attempt to rattle Prime Minister Mark Carney. But what followed wasn't a clash. It was a clinic. Carney didn't just answer back. He delivered a masterclass in control. He didn't just defend policy. He took command of the room. And by the time Mélanie Joly stepped in, it was no longer a debate. It was a dismantling. This is what a government looks like when it's done playing defense and a prime minister who's had enough of performative politics. Poilievre came armed with his usual populist pitch, stories of struggling Canadians, and blame squarely aimed at one man, Mark Carney. But he wasn't ready for what happened next. Carney flipped the entire script.
Canadians, according to this Prime Minister, have never had it so good. If you're that single mother out there walking down the grocery aisle looking at prices rise before your eyes, if you're that senior choosing between eating and heating, if you're one of the countless Canadians who see that roasted coffee is up 41% since the Prime Minister took office, that nuts and seeds up 15%, that food price inflation is now double the target, or if you're one of those 2 million people that are lined up at food banks every single month, the Prime Minister says you've never had it so good. How is it possible for this Prime Minister to be so costly and so out of touch with reality?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's time once again for our economic lesson. Okay.
Carney took a steady breath, and then he owned the room. Mr. Speaker, it's time once again for our economic lesson. No shouting, no flinching, just composed, confident delivery, the kind that immediately shrinks the opposition. In that moment, Carney wasn't just responding, he was teaching. He laid out the numbers with precision. Inflation is down. Economic growth is holding strong, and Canada's deficit is now the lowest in the entire G7. It wasn't a rebuttal, it was a reality check. But Carney wasn't finished. When Poilievre came back with fresh accusations, this time about broken promises, the Prime Minister hit back even harder. We promised to cut taxes. They're cut. We promised to cut the carbon tax. It's cut. You weren't here. A pointed jab at Poilievre's past election loss, and the chamber erupted. Laughter, cheers, even applause. This was Carney at his sharpest. He didn't just block the attack, he flipped it. And in seconds, the pressure shifted. Poilievre wasn't winning the moment. He was sinking in it.
Prime Minister is now lecturing Canadians who are lined up at food banks, telling them that they've never had it so good. That if only they appreciated all the many promises that he's made, promises that he hasn't even begun to keep, that they would then be appreciative of the fact that here we have fresh and frozen beef is up 14%, fresh and frozen cut chucks up 12%, frozen meats up 11%, coffee grains up 40%. Does he believe that people paying these exorbitant prices should be thankful for his economic lessons?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we promised to cut taxes for every Canadian. 22 million Canadians have their taxes cut. We promised to cut taxes on first-time home builders. They've been cut. We promised to cut the carbon tax. It's been cut. You weren't here. It's been cut. us to build this country strong. November 4th, this House will have a choice. Are you with us for those single mothers? Are you with us for those farmers? Are you with us to build this country strong so they can get it?
And just as Poilievre tried to bolster his argument with numbers, Carney countered with actual data. He pointed the House of Commons to independent studies showing there's zero correlation between Canada's carbon pricing and the country's inflation rate. In plain terms, the opposition's favorite talking point had just been dismantled. This wasn't political spin, it was evidence. And Poilievre, he didn't have a single number left to stand on.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has tried to deny the existence of continued hidden Liberal taxes on groceries. But Canada's leading food price expert, the food professor, Sylvain Charlebois, has said the exact opposite. He says, and I quote, "The industrial carbon tax, the worst part is still there." He was referring to the fact that farmers pay the tax on the steel that goes into their farm equipment, combines, tractors, and bins, and on their fertilizer. Is the Prime Minister really going to expect Canadians who can't pay their grocery bills to believe that the cost of the carbon tax on our farmers does not get passed on at the grocery shelf?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
No. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to quote independent research, Mr. Speaker, the Canadian Climate Institute, which finds that the impact of the industrial carbon tax, now wait for it, the net impact of the industrial carbon tax on food prices, it is on average around 0%.
But it wasn't just Carney commanding attention today. When the debate shifted to the auto sector, and Stellantis' move to shift operations to the U.S., Industry Minister Mélanie Joly stepped forward. She didn't hesitate. With clarity and conviction, Joly defended Canadian workers, called out corporate backpedaling, and delivered a clear message to anyone questioning Ottawa's resolve. Her tone was fiery, unapologetic, patriotic. And for many Canadians watching, it was exactly the kind of leadership they were waiting for.
That was not what this Prime Minister promised. He promised that he would negotiate a win. He promised that he would have a deal by July 21st. Neither of those things happened. He went to the auto sector and told the workers that not only would he protect their jobs, but there would be an all-in-Canada supply chain that is being dismantled right before our eyes. And it's not just his trade negotiating failures, it's his EV mandate, which has slammed the brakes on any investment in auto manufacturing in this country. If the Prime Minister take personal responsibility for this and announce today an end to the EV mandate so we can get our workers back to jobs.
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
When it comes to the auto workers, they know that we have their back and that we will fight for every single job in this country in the auto sector. You know why? Because the Canadian automakers and the Canadian auto workers are actually the best in the world. And therefore, we will make sure that Stellantis is held to account. We are meeting with GM tomorrow in Ottawa, bringing back a model into the plant in Ingersoll, and we will be there also for the employees at Paccard and Sainte-Thérèse.
Okay, what about Gould?
Today wasn't just another session in Parliament. It was a clear reminder of why leadership matters. While Pierre Poilievre delivers slogans, Mark Carney delivers solutions. And when critics challenge Canada's direction, Mélanie Joly rises to defend the workers who drive this country forward. This wasn't just strength in rhetoric. It was strength in composure, clarity, and conviction. Before we close, a sincere thank you. Every comment, every like, every share, your support is what powers this platform. You've made Canada Newsline a true voice for Canadians who care about the issues that matter. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, join our growing community, and stay with us as we continue telling the stories that shape this country. This is Canada Newsline. We'll see you in the next one.